Welcome to episode 7 of True Untold Nightmares. I'm your host, Chris Moss. And as you can tell by the title, I'm going to be telling a couple of true ghost stories today. But what's not in the title is that I got 2 Ouija board stories for you as well. So before I get into that, don't hesitate to send in your stories. You can email them, or if you would like to call in and share it and I'll record it and upload it to YouTube, let me know in the email. I take stories and privacy very seriously. And also don't forget to join the Facebook group. The link is in the description of all the videos. Now, if you're a part of the group, the Facebook group, I am going to start posting what future episodes will be about ahead of time. Also, all my announcements for upcoming projects or upcoming ideas I have for the channel, future giveaways and stuff like that. It's all going to be in the group. I'm not going to announce them here. So if you're part of the group, you're going to find out about things way before non-members of the group. So go ahead and join the group. Also, I have timestamps. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but timestamps are down below in the description, so you can just jump straight to a story. And speaking of stories, I'm going to start with 4 experiences that my coworker has shared with me. Now, I have permission to share the stories, but she didn't say if I had permission or not to use names, so I'm not going to do that. Now, my coworker told me that she has this neighbor that she's really cool with. She's known her for a minute, but she hadn't seen her in a while. So she was starting to worry about her a little bit. I believe the lady was a nurse or something, if I remember correctly. Now, my coworker was coming back for running errands, and she said that she saw the neighbor's dad who had lived with her, and he was walking a dog, and she said he looked good. Now, she eventually bumped into the neighbor again, hey, how you doing? How's everything been? As a matter of fact, I saw your dad. He looked real good. I saw him walking the dog. And she said she'll never forget. Her neighbor just looked at her like, my dad. She's like, he passed back in March. Now, she says she still gets goosebumps thinking about it because she saw him clear as day as, she was seeing me. But thinking about it, it's like, how do you explain it? Like, once you tell somebody, hey, I saw a loved one, I saw your loved one, they looked real good, and then they tell you that who you saw passed away, how do you carry, like, what do you say next in that conversation? That's what I should have asked her. As a matter of fact, I might ask her tomorrow, like, what did you say next in that convo? Because I'm pretty sure it got real awkward at that point, because what if the person you're talking to don't believe in the afterlife? They don't believe in ghosts and stuff like that, but you're telling them, I saw your loved one. You know what I mean? It's trippy. That's never happened to me, at least not yet. And I don't know how I would react to something like that. But back in December of last year, December 2021, my coworker's brother passed away. Now, ever since he passed, she has had 3 experiences that she's told me about so far. Now, her first experience after her brother passed, she said that she was home alone one day, and while she was coming down the stairs, one of the baby's toys turned on by itself. And in order for this toy to turn on, you have to physically push a button. And of course, I asked her, I'm like, okay, well, is it, glitchy? Do you think it was a battery issue? She said no. She knew it was definitely not a glitch because the toy has never gone off on its own like that before. And ever since this incident, it's never gone off by itself again. But she said that when the toy went off, the toy would say, okay, love you, bye-bye. And she said it happened twice, but it's never happened again since. And she said that before her brother passed, he was a prankster. Like, her brother loved messing with her, But it doesn't stop there. It actually gets weirder. She said that one night, everybody's home at this point. She's in bed with her husband. And she said around 3:05 a.m. in the morning, there's a toothbrush in the bathroom. Now, this is an electrical toothbrush and it sits in a stand. She said that toothbrush fell over into the sink. Now, in order for that toothbrush to fall into the sink off its little stand, either somebody had to hit it into the sink or an earthquake would, shake it off into the sink. There was no earthquake. I guess skeptics could be like, well, did she put it into the little stand right? Here's the thing. I've seen the little stands. I've used them before. If it's not in there right, it won't even sit right. It'll lean over. It'll fall over in like a couple seconds. She said that she got up. She put the toothbrush back in its little stand, but it doesn't end there. Around 3:22 a.m., the toothbrush once again falls straight into the sink. But when it falls, it's making this, it's like somebody slapping it into the sink because it's really loud when it falls into the sink. And she said her husband is knocked out. Like, she's the one waking up from this. He hasn't even budged. And the thing that I forgot to mention is that when it falls into the sink, the reason it's so loud is that the electric toothbrush is going off, like as if somebody turns it on. So it's vibrating in the sink. At this point, she's fed up with the toothbrush and she decides to put it in a box, but it doesn't end there. Now, later that same day, because it was 3 a.m, so this is a couple hours later, she calls her other brother, because she has 2 brothers. She calls the other brother and she tells him what happened. And he basically, tried to explain it away, and he didn't believe that there was anything paranormal about it. There's an explanation for it. And then he proceeds to tell her something along the lines of like, things like that don't happen. And right on cue, as if on cue, the toothbrush goes off in the box. And she's telling her brother over the phone, do you hear that? That's the toothbrush in the box. And the brother heard it. And she said he became speechless. And she took a video or a picture of the phone of the toothbrush in the box. And, she said, or no, they were FaceTiming. That's what it was. I'm sorry. They were FaceTiming, and she turned it over so he could see the toothbrush going off in the box. And she said he was just, at that point, he was speechless, and he basically admitted, he was like, yeah, I think that's our brother. But as weird as, that experience was, she has one more so far. The most recent one was that one day, they're laying in bed with the baby, her husband, the baby's in bed, and the phone is nearby, but her phone is sitting on its own. So nobody's touching it. It's on its own. It's sitting nearby. Then she hears the sound of a text message being sent. That little whoosh sound. I'll play it for you real quick so you can know what I'm talking about. So after she heard that sound of a text message being sent, she checks her phone because nobody's touching her phone. Nobody is typing or texting. There should be no, why is there a text message being sent when she hasn't even been touching the phone? And when she checks her phone, and she showed me this because she saved it, she never erased it. In the space where you go to type your message and before you hit send, it said in that space, oh, I saw it. Hi. And I'm gonna have it up on screen of what exactly the message looked like. It said, oh, I saw it. Hi. Because the message before that was her sending a message to her brother, but calling him by his nickname. And I don't have permission to use names, so I'm not going to use names or nicknames. But she texted his nickname to him. And I don't know the time gap between when she texted his nickname to him, to his phone, and when she received this message. But it's in her phone. She never got rid of it. She never erased it. But she didn't receive this message as a text message. It's literally like if somebody picked up her phone and typed out, oh, I saw it, hi, and never hit send. And then they literally typed up, oh, I saw it, hi, and then like put her phone on sleep mode and set the phone back down. Now, I do believe that her brother is reaching out to her to let her know that he's okay. And she did say this is how he types, and she showed me past messages with him. And that is something he would type. And that is, something that it looks like how he would normally type. And I actually believe her. I've known her for a couple years. I've never known her to lie. She's never lied about anything. And, she was really close with her brother. So, I know for a fact she wouldn't lie about this. for any skeptics out there. It's like, oh, how do you know she didn't type it herself and then told you this story? Because to have your brother who you were close to pass away and then make up a story, a paranormal story around your dead brother, you got to be a special type of sick. But like I said, honestly, I vouch for her. She's a very trustworthy person. She's never lied. So I believe her. And I think that her brother is definitely passing messages on to her. And I'm pretty sure if anything else happens, she will let me know. And because of my own experience after my grandmother passed, which if you haven't heard that story, I believe it's episode 2. It could be episode 1. It's episode 1 or 2. But, hearing this stuff is real. From her seeing her neighbor's dad and him looking good to, her brother sending her messages. It's like, this stuff is real. Like, and with my own experience, I believe it 1,000% more. And honestly, it just hits different when you experience something for yourself, whether it's a ghost, whether it's a loved one, sending you messages, whether, you saw a dog man or, you saw or you dealt with demons, whatever the case may be. Once you've had your own sightings and your own experiences, it makes hearing other people's experiences and sightings just, it feels more personal. You know what I mean? And you just feel connected to people who tell you their story, and you just feel more inclined to believe them, because there is just more to this earth, to this world, than we will ever know. And there are no experts in this field. I don't care what anybody says, because in order to be an expert, you have to be able to sit down and, study whatever it is that you're studying. Like, you can be an expert in lions because you can sit down and you can observe lions in their natural habitat. You can study what they eat and how they mate and how the hierarchy goes. And, day in and day out, you can study them. But this cryptids, ghosts, you can't sit back and just study them like you would a lion. So there are no experts in this field. Everybody has their theories. Nobody knows 1,000% sure what dogmen are. Nobody knows 1,000% sure what lies on the other side. Nobody knows. But that's what podcasts like mine and Monster 911 and PRT, Paranormal Roundtable, is for, is so we can come together, share stories, discuss, and learn, from the stories and from each other. That way we can have healthy discussions, healthy debates. We can all have different theories and bring it to the table, because that's the only way we're going to get a piece of the puzzle and try to figure this thing out, is if we do it together. But all right, that's enough, I guess, of my after school special. Now on to the Ouija board stories. This first story comes from Emma. And back when Emma was in high school, she's, older now, but back when she was in high school, Emma said that she had a sleepover with friends, and originally she didn't believe in all this paranormal stuff. She thought it was just entertainment. So she bought a Ouija board for her sleepover with her friends. And, they thought that they would tell scary stories, use the Ouija board, scare each other, have fun and laughs and snacks all night long. Well, when she got the Ouija board out during the sleepover, they lit candles, they turned off the lights, and they started using it. And for like 10 to 15 minutes, nothing happened until it did. As they were continuing to use the Ouija board, she said all of a sudden, things like books and little stuff that she had on her cabinet was thrown across the room, thrown at her and her friends. The planchette was moving aggressively. Now, she did say it was moving to different letters, but so much was going on, she could not, stop to figure out what the Ouija board was making out. Her friends are freaking out, and one of her friends yelled at her and told her to close the circle, tell it goodbye. And she was able to do that amidst the chaos. And that's when she said everything just stopped. And that, now she is definitely a believer of the paranormal. And if you're wondering where the parents were, she said her parents were out on a date, so they were not home when this happened. But when they did get home, they cleaned up the room by that point. And at that point, they were watching movies, and nobody went anywhere by themselves in that house. She did mention that to this day, none of the people that she's still friends with will talk about what happened. And when they were in high school after this incident, they still wouldn't talk about it. So while they were in high school, they wouldn't talk about it. And even now, years later, the people that she's still in contact with will not bring it up, will not talk about it. But as far as Ouija board stories go, I do think she got off mildly. And, you know, Emma, I hope you learned your lesson not to mess with Ouija boards or anything close to that, because you just never know what you're going to get. And I'm glad that, you know, you and your friends were ultimately all right. Nobody was severely injured. So that's always a good ending in my book. Now, this last story comes from William. Now, William's 32 now, but when this story took place, he said he was about 22. Now, he was 22 when he tried to use a Ouija board to contact his grandfather, who he was really close to and who had recently passed away. And, you know, he tried it with a friend. He had a friend come over the house and they tried it together. And he honestly didn't expect anything to happen. He said he was in the middle of grieving. So seeing the Ouija board kind of, I don't want to say gave him hope, but, you know, it was something for him to do. I don't know how to put it, but you get what I'm trying to say. He was basically thinking, what if this does work? I get to talk to my grandfather one last time. So he figured, why not? And got the Ouija board. And after using it for a while, like he predicted, nothing happened. Or so he thought. Because he didn't take it serious, him and his friend didn't close the circle. They didn't say goodbye. Basically, they tried it out. No response. Nothing was working. They went and got food, came back. And when they came back, his living room was a mess. Everything was just, it looked like a burglar or, you know, broke into the house and was looking for, you know, money or jewelry. Everything was astray except for the board. The board was sitting right where they left it on a coffee table, untouched. And, you know, he said after that, he knew about the whole closing the circle thing, but at the time he didn't take it serious. But he knew that nobody had broken into the house because all the windows were intact. The back door was locked. There was no evidence of anybody trying to break in. And, you know, if the Ouija board is the only thing untouched, you know, you kind of put two and two together. And he said after he closed the circle, said goodbye, he definitely started taking it serious, and he's glad that things didn't get much worse. But when it comes to these Ouija boards, man, I know they're made by Hasbro and, you know, they're marketed towards kids. It's like, that's one of the most twisted things I will never understand. Like, I would like to know, I know there's a backstory to Ouija boards, but I feel like there's a backstory to Ouija boards. Like, you can't tell me when they created these things and started marketing it towards kids, like they didn't know. Like, somebody higher up or somebody who created this thing didn't know. I think somebody did know, and they created it, marketed, and now it's being used all around the world and causing chaos. So whoever created this thing and got Hasbro to buy into it I'm convinced that they're evil. They're evil, or they have something attached to them that influenced their thoughts, or maybe they're a part of the occult and, you know, this was their master plan. But yeah, I just never understood, like, something like this just being marketed and sold in stores in broad daylight. It baffles me. It really does. But I definitely think the two stories I got of Ouija boards were mild versions. I'm pretty sure there's more wild stories or experiences with Ouija boards. So don't hesitate to send your stories in, and stop playing with Ouija boards. I feel like by now everybody should know. Even if you don't believe these things will work, what if they do? You know, using a Ouija board is like fishing in the ocean. You don't know what you're going to catch. You know, it's like walking through the Amazon. You don't know what you're going to bump into. So stop using these Ouija boards. Encourage your friends to stop using it, because even though I feel like most of the time nothing does happen, it's normally that all it takes is one time for something to happen. That's all it takes, is just one. But don't hesitate to send in your stories. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for the support. Everybody who pressed like, everybody who comments on my videos, everybody who watches my videos to the end, everybody who subscribed. Shout out to William, to Emma, to my coworker for sharing their stories with me and allowing me to retell them to you guys and giving my thoughts. Just thank you. Thank you so much. Don't forget to join the Facebook group. You know, the more we grow, the more plans I have for this channel and for this group and for this community. So yeah, thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you in the next episode.